sidewalk, but he has 102 feet, or
Okay.
something like that, so we know, so we can
Okay.
start working on our letters.
So we'll give it to you in spreadsheet forms of each address, you know, how many linear feet we expect to be replaced.
Okay.
And so we'll also paint it out, so, you know, once it's painted out, we'll ask, or encourage everyone here, take a walk, take a look at it, and make sure we're all in agreement. If you see slabs that, hey, this one should be replaced too, or, you know, why are we having to replace that one?
The only thing, keep in mind, we are not, some of these intersections, we are not going through to the intersection to stay away from that ungodly charge for what we have to do for the state. That's why we're staying back, not going through the intersection.
They're ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah, cost for a ADA ramp at the intersection, that will eat up your budget in a hurry. Yeah. And we're gonna have to figure out how to handle the distribution of funds there. Because again, you have to feel sorry for the individual that has a sidewalk on a corner lot. If they have to foot that bill themselves, it's gonna be considerably higher than everyone else.
Now I have a question.
Yes.
Because I have a lot on the corner lot, and I replaced my sidewalk and paid for it because you told me I had to years ago. So you're telling me that all these other people are gonna get money to replace their sidewalk, but I'm gonna have to put in an ADA ramp after I already paid for my own sidewalk?
No.
You don't have to put the ADA ramp in unless, if we don't disturb anything.
Right.
The way PennDOT looks at it, if we're not disturbing anything or doing anything at the corner of the intersection, they're not gonna make us come in and put it in retroactively.
Okay.
If we get right up to it, you know, they're gonna look at it and say, you can't leave 4 feet and undone, so at that point, they might push us to replace one. But again, if you have new sidewalk, you're fine.
What about the little things for the blind, like the?
That's what it's about.
That's what he's talking about.
If we
Okay,
affect
those
the
are what you're
intersection-
talking about, that's what they are.
Now, here's where it also gets interesting is you replaced your sidewalk, and my guess is that you just went ahead and got it done. You didn't go to PennDOT for permit or anything.
No. Well, I don't know, I had, my cousin did it all.
Yeah.
Well, he has a company, but yeah, I don't know.
As I said, and I'm not criticizing, believe me, I'm not
probably.
criticizing there.
It was years ago we did it.
22 years
So-
Yeah,
ago,
22 years
so
ago.
So one of the other situations we have to handle, if your sidewalk is all in good shape and you leave right up the curb, you go across the street, and we're not thinking across Main Street, but across the alley, and their sidewalk is erect, we have to replace theirs right up to the intersection. PennDOT says we cannot put an ADA ramp in on one side unless we put an ADA ramp in on the other side.
The other side's replaced also, so,
Okay, so you're set.
yeah, so I'm safe.
You're safe.
But my other question is there some stipulation on this money that this money all has to be used now? Is that the stipulation on this, the person giving this money? That all this money must be used right away now, all at one time?
Not that I'm aware of. It all has to be used for sidewalks.
So why not start some kind of an account that is for sidewalks and distribute the money up amongst everyone who has a sidewalk? I'm not trying to be like, put a stink bug in everybody's pants, but I don't really feel it's fair. Like I said, we replaced our sidewalk 22 years ago. No one offered to help us pay for it, and we got a letter from you that we had to do it, and guess what? We did it. I mean, it's great that somebody is offering money. I do feel there's a lot of elderly people who live in Loganton or are living on Social Security who cannot afford things. I would even be for maybe going by an income basis or something, but I'm not for just handing this money out to just the people who need a sidewalk. Now, these people have needed a sidewalk since I replaced my sidewalk, is what I'm saying. And it's not very fair that now all of a sudden we have money, so we're going to make people replace their sidewalks when these sidewalks have needed replaced for 30 years. And we're going to just let them get off without having to take responsibility for them.
And is there a grant that we can apply for as well? Like, I'm just saying, to make it go further, I mean, can someone write a grant? I mean, I'm just saying, if it's gonna cause an issue regardless, because if someone says, well, my sidewalk's fine, but in 10 years, then, I mean, you can't say it's too late. You helped everyone else in town, except a handful. I'm just saying, it's gonna cause a lot of issues.
So grants are a possibility, but they are hard to come by, you know, for sidewalks. Right now, there's a lot of opportunity out there for public water and sewer system, but not like the sidewalk. The other thing we have to be careful of here is if we were to go to the county commissioners and they were able to come up with a little bit of money for us, and here's $20,000 or $30,000 of CDBG money toward your sidewalk replacement. Right now, we're effectively doing this with borough funds. When that donation is made to the borough, they do become borough funds. So it has to be spent in accordance with borough code, which means state prevailing wage rates and a few other minor things there. So if the county gives us $30,000 to help out with this, now all of the money going into this being spent here, the entire project has to adhere to CDBG regulations, which are state, would have both elements of state and federal regulations in it. And quite honestly, on a $200,000 project where they give us $30,000 towards it, put us into all of the CDBG regulations, in the end, it's going to cost us $50,000. So sometimes a little bit of grant money isn't worth it. So if we're going to go after grant money, we have to be going after large pots of it to make it worth it.
What's going to happen to the people who can't afford to do it?
Like I said, that's a situation where the borough discussed the possibility of if the borough has to step up and pay for all of it for them. And again, I don't know if this decision has been made yet, but there's a possibility the borough could pay for all of it and set up either a payment program or take a lien on their house. I said there are options here. The borough, tell me if I speak out of turn, but I think these gentlemen know that there are difficulties. Every situation is going to be different, and I think it's just a matter of going to have to work with every situation.
Because nobody in their right mind is going to put a lien on their house for this.
I would.
I would not. I would not. No.
So your situation here is you got a sidewalk. The current ordinance says that you need to maintain it. And if someone comes to me and says, "Hey, we'll pay for half of it, and I don't have the money right now," okay, sure, I'll write an agreement with them where basically I'm giving a debt to them. Particularly if it's something where I don't ever have to pay it back until I sell the house or I die and my kids sell the house. So there are people who would. I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying that there are people who would.
But it's an ordinance that hasn't been enforced in 22 years, and even then, it was only one section of town that it was enforced upon. So I'm just saying.
As I said, these folks up here they're in a tough spot, and they're looking to start moving forward, getting it cleaned up. And I understand your position. You did put some effort in, but right now,
I put in quite a bit of money. My
okay.
whole section of street did, and I just don't think it's fair that all these people who now need a sidewalk, who've needed the sidewalk since I replaced mine, are going to get theirs partially paid for when I paid for mine myself. I mean, granted, I know costs have gone up incredibly, but it's still, I think, something that should be looked into more, to be made more fair, so that each person who has a sidewalk that has to keep their sidewalk, because it says that we do, then it should be split up more. So that in 10 years, if I need a sidewalk, then maybe I have some money to help me get a sidewalk. Or whoever, or maybe it should be looked into maybe for people, like maybe by income or something. I just don't think it's very fair to be like everybody gets it split out evenly.
I think you're also forgetting though, too, that there's an individual that donated this money to do a project right now and get as much done right now, so it's.
Well, clearly they didn't have that in mind, or they would have put stipulations that all the money needed to be used right now. I mean, if it was my money and I was giving it to the borough and wanted it to be used right now, I would have definitely put stipulations saying the money must be used within so much time. But I guess that wasn't put on the money, correct?
We are quite the users of
Was there, in the conversation, was there expectation that this would be a project now? I realize there isn't a hard written, but was there expectation?
There's gonna be, and it probably has to be discussed with the donator, yes.
Okay.
But there's gonna be an agreement with them.
Okay. So these things are still being worked out, and I guess that's a possibility. You can ask the donator how they would feel about taking a percentage and putting it back and have an ongoing fund.
So if it's not in the stipulations, they get it done right away, is it I'll be able to push it off for a little bit? I'm sure one of the senior, or one of the kids out of the target school will be willing to do a senior project to help raise funds to add to it, if you could go that route.
So by the time we do the survey work, do the permitting, get the contract put together, we're still several months out.
Yeah.
Contractors are very busy. In all likelihood, we're probably looking next spring for construction.
Yeah.
So you have time to talk to other areas or fundraise for it to make up the differences and try and offset the costs, or get more done. Is that something we can look into as a borough, doing some sort of fundraising? That too?
We have to ask the lawyer, because
Why would we have to do a fundraiser? She said about a charter school kid doing it for their senior project.
but then
That would be no different than what
It's
Lucy
a
did for
donation.
the, for
Yeah.
the Christmas lights.
Be the same
Correct,
thing
it would
Lucy
be a
did.
donation, so
Correct.
it would fall into those
Yeah.
guidelines.
but now in putting that kind of money into that, and like you said with the commissioners, is there a stipulation there that?
It would be the same as
It's
the donation
donated.
we've already
Just
received.
a
donation.
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as the money's not coming, like I said, the CDBG money we get from the commissioners is actually federal money, so that's where it gets in. Local monies or funds that are raised, just more donation, just like what we've received.
Okay, let me ask council this question. What do you feel of, like Becky's talking, to measure every foot of sidewalk in the borough and keep track what property has what footage, and then divide the money up for the whole borough, like Becky is mentioning, and we will not spend it all now, we would only spend to replace the ones that need replaced now. That way we'd always have money in the kitty that people could work at fundraiser or whatever to help, you know what I'm saying, build it back up.
It's okay, Martin, but when you start dividing it up, it's gonna be so little amount, 150,000 divided up amongst
Yeah.
the whole town.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's what the town wants to do, that's what, I'm not sure the donor's gonna like that.
I don't know.
I would suggest that's probably a question for the donor, and the donor can make that decision.
Right. Let's sit down and discuss the whole project with the donor and get answers, and then bring it back. But in the meantime, he can,
My motion stands to have
Have him
Alan
start.
start measuring
yes.
and letting us know which ones are the worst of the worst, because I have a few in my head that I know of already.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and that's already been seconded and passed, so. Okay, any other questions on the sidewalks before we move on? Yes,
So, previously I heard we have currently no sidewalk ordinance. So how could Becky have a letter sent to her to replace her sidewalk if we don't have an ordinance?
we do have an ordinance, but it does not state in the ordinance how it, them stipulations that he read off.
Okay, so if she had to pay for a permit to put a sidewalk in and there's no ordinance, why can't you, just like throw her some type of compensation for the square footage that she paid for, and add it into on your project? So she already done the work for you, so she's a citizen, she's a borough resident, and she already paid for it. So why can't you work it out with her at that point
My whole street replaced their sidewalk.
Yeah.
what's that?
My whole section of street replaced their sidewalks on my side of the road. We all did it at the same time.
Oh, your whole section of street.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? Okay, Alan, do you have anything else?
That's all I have. Brief update on the water project. I spoke with Process Control Solutions, and it's going to be setting up the new water meters at the well and tying all the equipment in, so we've got the remote reading and everything. They're still waiting for one component for the computer system. These are custom built panels and things. They said the panel view, which is displayed, is going to go on one of these stations. They're still waiting for that item. Unfortunately, there are some things that are just months and months out. Yeah. I will keep you posted on that.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Al, are you saying a little item, or there's something coming up about the blinking school light out at the charter school? That I have a question for you. Maybe you want to lead.
I was going to try and get out to fix my other meeting tonight. But
Okay. Well, I can ask you right now,
Okay.
somewhat. The topic's going to come up about the blinking LED lights on the stop signs, and also a 15-mile-an-hour when blinking lights out at the charter school. We're responsible apparently for paying it. We already have a rough estimate of just for the charter school between 20 and 30,000 plus engineering. Now, we don't know what engineering would cost. Here's my question: if we commissioned you, could you give us an estimate of what or have you worked with PennDOT enough that you would know what the requirements are and so forth, or get the requirements,
yes,
so that we could get an estimate of what these different lights would cost?
Yes, I can give you the estimates on them. A couple advantages there that have taken place in recent years is used to be when you put those lights in, you had to have a power service and run underground power over to them and everything. Most of them I see now are self-contained and have a battery pack and solar cells. So that does aid the installation cost considerably. It costs a lot less. I can look into the PennDOT requirements. Said there's a chance they may want a traffic study or something. We don't do traffic studies in-house, but we've got there's a firm that we work with. They come out, and you used to see them putting the rubber strips across the road all the time. Now they do most of that with just little cameras that they mount off on the signs. I'm not sure what they want. I assume we're just looking for the 15 mile an hour when flashing signs?
Yeah.
Okay. So I can look into that and get the requirements for that.
We have some communications, Sam. Could we send him that thread of communications, forward that to him, that we've already tried to, it was interesting enough that in the thread of information that we got and in the emails, it says that in 2014, Mayor Schreckengast with Nancy Edie requested this problem. That was 9 years ago. And I would just bet that all got dropped because of the cost. I would imagine that's probably what happened. Yeah. So even now, I don't know for sure where we're going to get 20, 30, 40,000, but we need an estimate, is my point. So council will have to address that later tonight.
Okay. So I will look into it, see what the requirements are, what the permitting requirements are, and come up with a cost estimate for it.
And be sure to look at the emails that Sam sends you.
Okay.
And also, they talked about putting flashing lights on the 4 stop signs at this intersection.
Okay.
See what we have to do with PennDOT, because I'm sure it's PennDOT, because it's
a
state highway both ways right there.
Okay.
That'd be the same thing with
yeah, you have to fill out the same forms. It's the identical form they want you to fill out for the blinking lights on the stop signs as it is for the charter school.
Okay. So I don't expect the requirements to be too significant, but I said when I mentioned traffic study, I'm kind of covering myself there. I'm not gonna, I don't want to say that they won't add one. But
well, they just did one.
pardon?
They did a traffic study on Main Street, but no one will give us a copy of it.
Yeah, that would have been a speed study. That's a little bit different than a full-blown traffic study.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll look into it and I'll let you know what I find.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else for me?
I don't think.
Okay, so I have another meeting. I'm going to try and make it to that one before they adjourn.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Have a nice evening.
Yep, you too. Okay, other guests, who's next? Anyone have anything you want to bring up?
I'll jump. No, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I have 2 items that have shown up on my radar that I think are probably of concern to Loganton Borough and certainly the residents. And I'm not picking in Nicholas Mead. It just so happens that they're an industry that's close by that does have a great impact on you. Nicholas Mead is seeking to have water withdrawals from wells of 165,000 gallons per day. I'm curious as to what effect, if any, that may have on your borough. I know that you have an infrastructure. However, will that have an effect on the borough? I'm not so sure. That might not be something worthy of discussion. And also, I have already gained approval from Green Township to install a 60,000 gallon propane tank. These things are huge, and they, if go bad, are absolutely phenomenal explosions. So your borough is definitely on the outskirts of having an effect if something were to happen. Now, I did very light research on this. I mean, it was like a 10-minute dive. But these tanks are generally safe. But what happens, are there plans for when it's not? I guess those are my two questions or issues.
Michelle, I was told, I don't have it in writing, but, and maybe it's, maybe it couldn't be gotten in writing, I don't know, but I was told months ago that we were far enough away that it wouldn't affect our wells. That's what the engineer, somebody told me that. I don't, that would have to all be investigated, but I was told that if you go straight distance, that we're far enough away that it wouldn't hurt. But
I'm sorry, are you talking about the water well withdrawals or the propane tank? Because it's two separate. I'm sorry, I didn't make myself clear.
Them drawing so much water out.
Okay.
That's not going to affect our water table at all?
I don't know. I'm just asking questions.
It certainly has been studied already, but maybe somebody can get a report of it or something. I was told not to worry about it.
They're taking public comment on this. It's currently up for public comment. And I'm sorry, I ran off without the paper. I'll post on the Clinton County Watchdog site, and you can do public comment. And if you do have questions, they're required to answer those questions. That particular agency, I'm not even sure what agency it is, but I believe they're taking public comment up until the 15th for anything that you may be concerned with. Yeah, if it's an issue or not, I don't know. It just certainly seems like it belongs on the radar. That's all.
Yeah, as far as the propane tank, I think we need to have a sit down with Green Township and discuss this and see what they're putting in place and if they thought anything about the borough and get it all on the radar. Yes?
I just want to say something about that. Whether or not they have to by law, it would be nice to share with charter school parents that aren't in Loganton, because if something happens and that thing blows, that is too close to the school and parents need to be made aware of it.
Yeah. And our fire company can't sustain that
No.
at all. You're calling in 20 plus fire companies.
So you need to make sure that you have that set up.
And I guarantee you when parents at school found out about it, it's not going to be pretty.
And that is certainly within range of a 60,000 gallon tank.
Yeah. Yeah, so we will reach out to Green Township and have a discussion and see what the plan is. I see a hand back there.
Yeah, Bill's back here.
Scott said that with the reports, is there any way the reports can get out about both the water and the propane tanks that we can, the residents can see?
The reports that they have already done in Green
Yes.
Township?
Saying that it would not affect the borough being that close?
Something we can ask Green Township. I don't think we can
Oh,
make
that's
them
that's what I'm saying. If we can ask to where we can make it available for the ones that want to see it.
You'd have to go to Green Township meeting
I
and
just
ask
say,
that.
yeah, that's the place to be. I mean, as Loganton Borough this close, you have every right to go to Green Township meeting and ask those questions to those officers. Leave them give you the answers. Okay?
Yep.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I have that paperwork. I'll be posting it probably tomorrow.
All right, I'll keep an eye out.
Okay. Anything else? Brian?
Yes, sir. I know we all put a lot of hard time and effort into our water system. We made some great achievements within the year. I'm not singling anybody out in any way. I appreciate all the hard work you do. But my question is, we all consume the water, and I know Bob Deal was certified, So my question is, are we in compliance with DEP, with the safe drinking water standards under the DEP regulations? And
Absolutely.
but do we currently have a certified operator that's qualified and addressed by DEP with the required courses?
We actually have two people that are certified operators through the state and federal.
Okay.
And we are way up on the chart as far as water quality.
Okay.
We're perfect.
That sounds great. I mean, I drink it every day. So, so they're in compliance with the state Safe Drinking Water Act?
Yes.
All right, good. So, do we currently have chemical injection in our consumable water system?
Yes.
Okay, so the flow meters that are on those chemical injections, do you have a current record that, you know, that they have a calibration sticker on them and they're calibrated every year? And
Yes.
Yep.
What was the question? Sorry.
Chlorine.
The chlorine and
Our injection system
yes.
has to have an installation operation qualification, has a valid calibration
We
sticker on
actually
it.
just had DEP in here a year ago.
Yep.
And we went through all of that.
So they all have current stickers on it?
Everything's up to date.
Yeah, good deal. That's what I thought. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Anyone else?
And I will say, on our website, you can look on there. Helen has the water quality report posted on there that you can go up and look at it.
Right. So I have one more thing to add to that.
Yes.
So this is our watershed. So, you know, I've noticed within the year that the increased traffic of sewage trucks, you know, I have nothing against Nicholas. They built a beautiful plant. You know, they employ people and, you know, support their families. So, but what I'm saying is once they get their regen plant going, you're going to have an increased amount of traffic of chemical trucks coming through town with like 5,000 gallons of chemicals. And I really don't want our town to turn into like East Palestine, Ohio. So, you know, we have increased traffic of large trucks. We got Jake brake issues. We have trucks stacked up at the intersection with 5 cars behind each truck coming each way, and then they get locked in. The trucks can't back up, they can't move. It creates a big problem. I feel by observing of what's going on within the last year, that the road's really not, in the intersection, is really not built for that type of traffic. So, I've done some research. The federal government, through your senator, can put a request in for another exit. So if we could possibly look into that through Congress and get the appropriate paperwork submitted, and they have funds for that, and they're very forgiving with small communities that have large corporations that, you know, put a hardship on the community and have large trucks constantly rolling through town. So there's a possibility that that could be pursued, that Nicholas could have their own exit past our exit, which could also be used for emergency response. They wouldn't have to go up through the curb. So that would also reduce all the traffic of the school traffic. The school could use it. Nicholas could use it. Everybody would benefit out of it. It's not pointing fingers at anybody. But there are funds available through the federal government to do that and to pursue that through Congress.
Brian, this is an old topic, and I looked into all this. We were going to try to have signs put up on 80 that would divert Nicholas traffic to the Kroll exit. And I soon got told that this road is, they pay their taxes, and according to the classification of this road, they're allowed to use this road for what they're using it.
I understand that, but I feel the community has an, you know, they go through a pretty big hardship with the noise, the trucks, the houses on Main Street are all black. You know,
I agree with Brian. The four-way isn't capable to handle all that traffic. I see it every day, like goods trucks. People have to stay back, you know, clear, like by the store almost, just to let half of them come around the turn. And if you can't back up, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is definitely an issue of the four-way. Do you know what I mean? Like, it isn't capable for all those trucks to come in.
PennDOT, when I approached them because of the problem of smashing the water valves.
That's right.
PennDOT pretty much said, it's a state highway, they're allowed to do it.
Yeah.
We ate the cost on valve relocation, redoing that whole project, what, I think it was close to $22,000, $23,000.
Right.
But PennDOT said it's a state highway.
Yeah, I understand it's state highway, but you go over PennDOT's head, because I feel that the community's going through, you know, and it's only gonna get worse. I don't wanna see a chemical truck flipped over because of a new driver that don't know how to drive in the snow, and he's coming down through the turns and flips over a 5,000 gallon ammonia tank, and it catches on fire, and we all have to evacuate town and never come back. So, I would think, you know, sad to say I don't wanna ever see that happen, but, you know, I think PennDOT has nothing to say when it comes to the federal government approving and allocating funds for small towns that have a hardship with increased traffic due to a manufacturing facility. And it has nothing to do with Nicholas. They would benefit from it. They would benefit from it tremendously. The community would benefit from it. The people in the community would benefit from it. It would decrease the traffic, and it would be a lot safer. I don't want something to happen with a chemical truck on the top of town. I can just see it playing all out. You know, I can just see it. I feel it coming, and I just feel it. So I would say, if you get with your congressman, your senator, you go through the chain of command, your representatives, everybody's on board with the plan because, you know, they promoted it. They took their pictures, they cut the dirt with the shovel. You know, I think they would be proactive in pursuing that and, you know, be orchestrative in seeing it, you know, become reality. And I think the community would benefit from that. That's all I have to say.
I love it. Actually, I would love to see an accident on Interstate 80 between Loganton and Carroll.
That's correct.
Shooting straight to the clinic.
That's correct.
Can be done.
Plus, you know, emergency response. You know, that would
We
be.
have to call in assistance.
Yeah, actually, when interstate gets closed between here and Carroll,
Right, that would cut that off.
east and westbound,
Yeah.
all that truck traffic comes into town,
That would stop
you
that.
know, to get back on 80.
That would stop that.
And that is a nightmare, because we've had to be down there with the fire police already trying to make sense of it, and you still have problems. It's a real mess.
Yep.
It really is.
So I'll be willing to volunteer my time to see, to get the contacts, get the representatives, get everything, put a packet put together and hand it off to somebody. And somebody in council can pursue that and take that and, you know, see if it could become a reality and a goal to benefit the community.
That was a great idea.
Thank you for offering that. Yes.
If you want to do that, Brian, would you?
I'd be happy to.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes. Ryan. Okay, we're ready to go. The minutes that were emailed to everyone. Any additions or corrections to them?
Yes.
Okay, Chris.
On the very last page, when it came to signing the gift agreement, it needs put in there that I opposed it. I opposed section 2 and 3, and I'm still gonna oppose it. I don't believe that the borough should be maintaining that property, paying the taxes on it and everything else until the property is owned by the borough. We should not be paying to do all that. And I saw that we bought a post and a no trespassing sign there. We shouldn't be spending any money on that property till it's ours. So I'm still gonna oppose that, signing that gift thing, because it's not our property to do it.
It's part of the agreement.
Yeah.
That's the agreement.
Yes.
So I'm opposing section 2 and 3 altogether.
Okay, anything else? Any additions or corrections to the minutes?
The wording on, I guess it would be page 039. The animal discussion.
What page was that? I'm sorry.
Yeah, 039. Okay. Beneath the animal discussion, there is the topic of transparency issues. I don't know that that's correct, saying Chris staff was asked about a few things. I believe Chris staff asked and discussed a few things and had concerns rather than was asked.
No,
Am I wrong in that?
No, she's right. I asked, I wasn't asked, that's all. Just gotta take the was out of there.
Okay.
Anything else? If not, I'd like a motion to approve as repaired. Motion to approve?
I make that motion.
Diane, second. Danny, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, the treasurer's report, which was emailed. Anyone see any discrepancies on that? Any questions on the treasurer's report?
Good job.
I have a motion to approve.
I make that motion.
Second. Bobby, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, it's passed. Bill approval.
I make the motion to pay the bills.
No questions on the bills. Chris made a motion to pay the bills. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Judy, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Can I ask a question about the bill approval?
Yeah.
Is it okay the way I'm doing it, or does it need adjustment? Am I okay breaking it down the way that I am?
I think you're doing great.
Okay.
Better than what it was before.
Next, Ed's not here.
Okay, Ed's called me, he had an emergency at the restaurant tonight, and that's why he's not here. But he did inform me that he wrote no permits during the last month, but he is meeting with 3 parties on Monday morning regarding permits. And we'll hear what those were at the next meeting.
Bill's not here.
Bill said everything's good. I just, got one payment turned in for him that he was worried about, but that's all handled. Everything's going great.
Okay. Any announcements? Okay. Squared into old business. The consideration of the constable. We have no contract because Larry is on vacation, so he did not draw a contract up. So I think we should table till next month because we don't have one. And number 2, if you read Larry's email, I think everyone got it.
Mm-hmm.
His concerns on a constable. I have a contact that I'm gonna reach out to. It is an individual that trains all the constables in Pennsylvania who swears that they cannot collect fines.
They cannot, they're only Act 120.
Right, they cannot fine anyone for disobeying an ordinance.
No.
So we need to find this out before we get in a contract because that's what we want him for.
Yeah, that won't work. They're only Act 120, that's it. Serving warrants through the district attorney and so on.
Right.
They're only Act 120.
So another thing about the constable was the state officer that was at the last meeting.
Yeah.
If we have a constable, it's the same thing as if we have a police, like if we have our own police officer here. They're not gonna come. So we need to go with a
Code enforcement
Yeah.
officer is what we need.
yeah.
And I don't know if the constable can be considered the same thing in our municipality, the code enforcement officer instead of a constable. I don't know that. It's some of the things we're gonna have to look at.
Corporal McDermott suggested as a whole that we should look into other municipalities and discuss what they do to enforce codes.
And we did at the meal, and they have code enforcement officers.
Okay, so that was,
What?
but
South
he was,
Loganton handle it.
We have that report here, that letter that Sam sent out from New Albany, that they have one.
Yeah. It also says in the borough code, I brought it up to this individual, said I don't care what it says in the borough code. It's a law that they cannot issue fines for people violating covenants. So.
Well, I don't know, he's the one that says he can, I don't know what paperwork he has, he gave you guys all of it.
Yeah, we have, that's the borough code,
Right,
what it says in the borough
so
code.
I don't know what the law is, I've not looked into it,
That's why I think we need to do some more research before we jump into a contract.
yeah.
And cross our T's and dot our I's. But I think a code enforcement officer is what we are looking for.
Exactly.
And that is someone that the borough appoints or hires.
That's correct.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we need to.
He's sitting right next to him.
No, and the best thing is to do is
Right.
when you get that person that he is already has all that stuff that Dave would have to get to do it. You know what I'm saying? That we've already discussed all the, what was it?
Review or what
The alarm number.
Yeah, that, and fingerprinting and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna suggest that we table the constable. We get some more information. Everyone all right with that?
yes.
Okay. The April dinner meeting, that's the next thing on old business. Ellen?
I posted it on the website, here's a copy for the file, Sam. And I sent two thank yous, one to the entertainer and one to the caterer. On file.
Any questions or concerns about the dinner meeting? I think things went real well. Good turnout. I think everyone was pleased.
One of those.
Okay. The next thing under old business is the update on the school zone and the four-way intersection stop signs. I think we already discussed that. Just gonna basically wait for some quotes. And someone have a question? Oh, okay. I've just seen something moving around back there. So that's basically in the works.
The way that works, Myron, is very early in the process, you have to fill out a certain form, I forget the number of it, and then they want a letter of commitment right up front that you will pay the amount. And Sam sent me this information, my first question was, how are we going to commit to paying it when we don't know what it is? You know,
Right.
Is it $100,000? So then they came back with a rough estimate of $20,000 to $30,000 for the school zone.
Yeah.
Plus engineering. So, I mean,
Yeah, it was
Yeah, so we,
25 to 30,000.
Yeah.
25 to 30.
Yeah.
and we would have to, before we even do anything, send the financial commitment letter. It was a document that states the municipality would commit to fully funding the design, construction, and maintenance of the device if the study determines that there is a need for it. They will not do the traffic study until they receive the TE 160 form and the financial commitment letter.
So we have to know what we're committing for and know that we have the funding to do it. Because it sounds to me like PennDOT's not paying nothing.
They
Correct. No, they won't. Zero.
They pay nothing. Seems strange because it's a state highway, but
Yeah,
PennDOT works in mysterious ways.
yeah.
What about the lighting on the stop signs? Do we have to pay for that?
Yes.
Yeah, same thing,
Same thing?
same form.
When I spoke to PennDOT, they said the lights on the stop signs are the very last thing that they would do. In the study, they would come in and perhaps put traffic signs a couple 100 feet away from the stop signs, stating that there's an intersection ahead.
Yeah.
The blinking lights are an absolute last resort.
That's called mitigation, and we've already gone through, I don't know how many of those steps, because I think the stop signs are bigger than average stop signs, aren't they? And the red reflective thing on the bottom of the stop signs is part of the mitigation. And I forget, it seems like there was, is there a stop sign ahead?
Yes.
Signs?
Yes, coming
And
always.
that's all you have to, it's just like your insurance company, you can't give a back operation until you have an MRI and you do all these other things. It's the same thing, you have to do all, but I think we've done everything they wanted us to do. The next, like Sam said, they won't put them on until you follow every little step that they want you to do. Which maybe that's what we'll have to do if that's what.
Sounds like Loganton's about to get a red light, though.
That'll never happen. So it's basically still in the works till we get a price and all that. Next thing is the updates on the LTAP for lowering the speed limit on the borough streets.
That is still in the works. They said that they were pretty booked up, and in the next month or two, he's gonna contact me to set up a date to come and actually inspect the streets and do a speed study on the borough streets itself. So it has not been forgotten about,
Okay.
they're just backed up.
Okay. Okay, the next one was the updates on the constable contract, that was basically tabled. Revision to ordinances, and that should list to the sidewalk and animal keeping. Quality and Amish friendly.
Yeah, that was, something that I had Sam put on there, because after the decision was made regarding the horse, where the horse was denied, so everybody knows that, yes, and so forth. McElwain said, I think you should need to address the situation that would make your ordinance more Amish friendly, she called it. So, in order to make the more Amish friendly, of course, you're probably going to have to allow horses some places where they're not allowed now. But I told her that I would bring that up, that's what she thinks. Her argument is that when the Amish came to Sugar Valley, they bought farms and there was plenty of room to expand. But now she says the farms have been bought up, and now they tend to buy more in town than what they used to. And so that's her reasoning for feeling that we should be more Amish friendly.
But if I want to own a cow, I'm gonna not buy property in Loganton. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna buy it outside of Loganton.
I think we need to update the ordinance, like I said, maybe, like Wade had said, look at a manure management thing. Because to say you can only have one chicken or one rabbit on the same size of a piece of property you can have a horse on, we need to bring that up to
And I wouldn't call it Amish friendly, it's almost farm friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not a farm borough, unless your grandfather did it.
I agree.
But I do agree, there are some ordinances that we definitely need to look at and dust the books off and get them out and go over each one of them. And we'll probably set up a work session some night just to review them, make notes, not make any decisions that night. It'll just be a work night.
Yeah, just go through them and read them. I bet there's some people in there who've never read them.
Right.
Chris, was there somebody that you knew that, would explain the manure management, what was his name?
Wade Joe Dunn.
Yeah.
He'll come up, he's from the conservation district.
Would,
And he said he would come up and explain how all that works.
not that we'd have to take that route, but
Right.
that maybe we would know more about that manure management.
Yeah.
It would just give us some, huh?
He's getting ready to retire.
Yeah, but he said he would come up if we asked him to and just give us some insight. Because that's what a lot of, boroughs and townships are doing now. They're going through that because Penn State is overtaking it all.
Yeah, I don't know if that's, way we want to go, Mark, could we invite him, or would that be?
Doesn't mean we have to use his right, but it may be give us some insight on how to write a new ordinance.
Yeah, I really don't have a problem with one horse for transportation. And I mean, they're really close out there. I have no problem with that. To me, sometimes it's better having one horse there and a male horse there, not a female. There was a concern about it having loads.
But if you allow one horse, then you have to think of this town as everyone having a horse. That's just what, that's just how it ends out, One house has a horse, then everybody should be allowed to have a horse. So that means everybody in Loganton is gonna have a horse.
Does anybody understand what it is to have a horse in a pasture? Do you understand what goes along with that?
A lot of it.
With the soil damage, the flies, the manure, the hay, everything, all that. So if that's beside your house, when it rains, all that shit comes into your yard.
Yep, when you have a cookout.
And then you're saying it's okay because you want to be on the front.
I
That's
grew
not
up
a
with
good
my
idea.
horses in your backyard.
Yeah, that's not a good idea.
Well, I can tell you, any smell you might get from it is not as bad as what I get from the meat plant. So, it's not gonna bother
That I
me.
agree with.
Since you're on the animal thing, are we allowed to have wolverines in town?
Look, I'll buy a wolf.
If you got 1 acre, you can have a pet.
I'll buy a wolf.
Okay, so we'll set up a date to, start reviewing ordinances.
Yeah, because we had to review those, we had to review the water stuff and a lot of things.
Right.
Could Sam invite Greg Leonard and invite this, straight on to the next council meeting, just
Yes.
for information?
Yes. Right.
I'll get in touch with him too.
Oh, okay, but.
Chris, you said you're
That's
going
why I
to
want
be
to fight
doing that.
kangaroos.
Yeah, I can call him and ask him if you will.
Okay, the next thing is the SCAF property agreement. What's it been? Right after last council meeting, the committee met with Marilyn and Janine. They are 100% behind donating the land. They have the agreement that was drawn up from Larry Koploff. We're just waiting to hear back from them for any changes or anything like that in the agreement. They couldn't figure out why Koploff stopped in the beginning, telling them that it was not big enough for a park, and we showed them what happened. And so they're behind us. They want to donate the land. We just have to agree on the agreement.
Myron, is everybody aware that the Nichols agreement is signed and sealed?
Yes, we did that. The top piece, yes, it's definitely signed and sealed.
Are we going to see this agreement on the staff?
Not
That's
yet.
been,
No,
When it's final, yes. Yeah, it's not final yet. They have to agree to it.
Yeah, they'll have to-
We're not, we can't show it, we can't wait till each borough meeting and show you the draft that we gave to the SCAFs. Then we'll say they want to change 2 sentences. Now we gotta wait till the next meeting to send it back to the SCAFs. So, yeah, before it is signed, you will see it, the agreement.
And then if they don't approve it, maybe you'll have to go back to SCAF.
Right, right,
But we have to start somewhere.
right. Council has to approve it when they approve it. So the next thing under old business is the codification of ordinances. Before we get into that, we are not ready to codify ordinances. We're going to sit here and review and update them. it's a waste of money to codify at this point. That is my personal feeling. Is that correct?
There's one step that we have taken that's going to help us in getting things ready for the horse hearing. Frank Maselli, the zoning hearing attorney, wanted a up-to-date copy of the zoning book, which his book was old. So I want to thank Danny Garbage for letting us borrow his zoning book and give it to Frank Maselli. But then the problem arises, that zoning book is dated 2009. What about all the ordinances that have been passed since 2009 up to today? So I've got good news. Mr. Koploff has emailed us all the ordinances that he prepared since 2009, and we have a record of them.
Okay, because we'll have to review all those when we start looking at ordinances. And then they will have to be added to the book, because I'm sure everyone's book stops when Dan's does, but Joyce and them used to give us updates in a brown manila folder every time we added an ordinance or updated an ordinance, because I have all mine.
Yeah.
Yes. Good. And I think the last one was, we done anything was either 19 or 20. Yeah.
21, it would be the 6-foot fence rule.
Maybe, okay.
That was your last ordinance.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I saw that one's in there too.
Yeah.
I know that was there in particular because
Yes.
I saw the heading.
I have the whole packet I got from Clinton County Planning Commission.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't think we want to spend the money right now to get them codified. I think it's a waste of money at this time if we're going to change a lot of stuff and possibly add new, so, yes.
Once we get them codified, can they be added to the website for the residents to be able to look at without having to have the book?
Absolutely.
If you have most of them already emailed to you. Because as of right now, I have to ask every time I want it. I have to tell you exactly what I want, because I've asked multiple times over the years for a copy of them, and I've been told that I'm not a member of the council, so I don't do them. I've asked multiple times for them.
Okay, yes. Once we get everything done, it will be on the website that anyone can see our ordinances. Okay? Okay, the next thing, rental agreement.
Yes, I emailed everybody an updated copy of the rental agreement, to which it was a separate email because it would not fit with all of the other attachments.
Okay.
So the previous rental agreement did not include the issue regarding the limited parking, so I did add a section to that. And I added a section about the cleaning fund being returned after the building was inspected, as well as the deposit fee would be returned for all of those families having some type of funeral memorial service in the 17747 area code.
Okay. What did you put in about the limited parking?
So parking at Loganton Borough municipal building is limited. Parking is not permitted around the fire hall bay doors. Parking there could cause the towing of one vehicle. Renter is required to contact local businesses or private residents to obtain permission to park in those lots.
And what was our fees in there?
So the fees that we put, there's a rental deposit of $50, which is due at the time of executing the contract. And I put in there, Borough Municipal Building is rented for the use of a celebration of life, memorial service, wake, or any other funeral-related activity for a local family. Local pertaining to the 17747 area code only. The rental deposit of $50 shall be refunded. The cleaning deposit fee will remain as stated below, so there's a cleaning fee of $125. If the event is if the municipal building is left in the exact condition as it was when renters entered the building for inspection of a borough council member, the deposit shall be refunded. In the event the building required cleaning and or sanitation after the rental per inspection of borough council member, the deposit shall not be returned and will be utilized for the cleaning service fee.
The only comment I had on it there was the part about if somebody cancels before use of it, how much you get back. It seemed maybe a little complicated. I'm not saying it's wrong, but maybe it could be a simpler way of stating it. You remember how it was like? Can you read it? There's a graduated.
Yep, so
scale.
I put in the event the rental is canceled by the renter, the deposit shall be refunded as below. Cancellation prior to 8 weeks would be 100%, 4 weeks is 70, 2 weeks would be 50. Cancellation within 1 week of scheduled rental would forfeit the deposit.
Is it necessary to have that complicated?
Yes.
That's good, Sam. I mean, I'm not criticizing.
And the reason I put it in there is because let's say 2 people want to rent a building and somebody puts a deposit on it, the other person then cannot, and if they back out, we're out that rental fee.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. It's okay.
And I tried to cover all of my bases in this 8-page agreement.
It's pretty good, Sam. It's real good.
Anyone have any questions or concerns about it? Now, this $50 is per
day.
per day.
Per day.
Okay. Okay.
And did we know that in the last meeting we did return Mr. Gladden's
Yes,
fee?
yes, his fee was returned.
Yeah.
So basically, if someone comes in here and rents this like a Friday night, Saturday,
It's $100.
we're gonna get $100 from it.
Yes.
As long as it's not funeral or something like
Correct.
that. Yes, okay. Okay.
So you're bottom of page 4, number 17. Disposal of trash.
Mm-hmm. Which one is it?
Number 17.
What page?
Page 4. Number 17.
Vacuum broom and cleaning wipes are available for use in cleanup. Trash must be removed from the building in bags as they can. Trash may be disposed in the Sugar Valley Volunteer Fire Company dumpster.
No,
No?
the trash must be taken by the person renting the building.
Okay.
Any other questions, concerns? Right.
So I need help with something on my street. So 2 things. Number 1 is I've been here 23 years and I haven't seen nobody walking around with bed sheets and tippy hats on. The stop sign down at the end has KKK written on it. So I'm requesting, it's been there for like 5 years. So I'm requesting, can you replace the stop sign?
Where at?
At the end of East Anthony Street, it's a stop sign.
Right here?
No, the other end.
Oh, the other end?
Yes, east end.
East End. Yeah, it's been on there for like 5 years.
Never even noticed.
I've never seen it.
So anyways, yeah, it's been written on, whatever. But have that replaced. The other thing is, the trailer across from me is abandoned, doesn't have any heat or water, and no one has lived there. And they're in non-compliance to our ordinance of an abandoned property with a building on it.
They're in the process, that's being sold, and it's in the process of getting lined up to get it bought.
Okay, so that's in the process.
Yeah, that's in the works already.
Okay, because I really don't want to look at that for the next 10 years.
There's no abandonment thing though, Brian. There is a dangerous, if it's a dangerous thing, there's an ordinance against it, but not just abandonment.
I don't want like like a bus pull up and like 60 rats go off and go inside.
No, it's in the process of being dealt with.
It's in the process, right.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Someone want to make a motion to adopt this rental agreement?
I'll make a motion, we adopt it.
Do I have a second? Danny, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Any other old business that's not on the agenda?
I don't know if this is old business or new business. Where are we with the grants from the SVCC?
That is on here, is it on there under new business?
No.
No,
It's under Community Park Committee report.
okay, yeah. So we'll get to that one, down at the bottom of the agenda, okay?
Okay.
Any other old business?
Should we had discussed one time about starting to look for, cost versus having somebody else do plowing in the winter versus us maintaining this truck and all the work we know it needs and insurance and fuels and all that. Is that something we wanna continue to look at and start working on that while we got time instead of waiting till last minute?
We probably should. I think that's something we have to put out as a
For a
bid.
Yes.
For a bid for our winter snow.
Doesn't mean we have to do it.
Right.
I'd like to
Yeah.
balance what cost would be versus what we're facing.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I think we want to do it before the last minute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
We
absolutely.
don't want to be,
So could we get Sam to write a letter out and get them out? So, maybe ask them for bids or put it in the paper that we're gonna start looking at this so that we don't end up doing it at the last minute, because the truck isn't gonna get fixed at the last minute. And I hate for us to dump a ton of thousands of dollars in there for what we have.
So I think we're gonna have to put it in the paper to advertise this, make
Yeah.
it legal
The Loganton Borough is accepting bids
for snow removal and,
by such and such a date.
yeah,
Snow removal and
anti-skid
anti-skid.
applications
Yeah.
when needed.
And that needs to be worded in some manner, that we may not choose anybody that's, we have the right to accept or reject all bids.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
something to that effect.
I think it's something we should start looking at now.
Yeah.
Then we got all summer to put a plan together.
Okay? Anything else under old?
We have to have a deadline for those bids on that,
Yeah, you'll sit there all year.
Yeah.
I'd say the second week of July at least.
Yeah, get it on June.
Yeah.
Yeah, that gives them a 6-8 weeks.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, if you're gonna go the second week, it'll be after our meeting, so just go to the end of July.
Okay,
That way we have them
Yeah.
for
right.
August meeting.
That should be,
That should be plenty of time.
yeah, because they'll have to measure the streets and,
Yes.
you know, come up with an estimate.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, anything else? Old business? Okay, new business. We have the proposal from Marco.
So before we dive into this, as of right now, tray 2 on our printer does not work. Our scanner does not work. I called in a service call. He basically told me that our printer system is a dinosaur and parts are now obsolete. So he gave me the business review, which is what we are currently paying for our printer now, which he said is astronomical. He doesn't know why it was set up this way. He says we are paying about $150 more a month for this particular printer than what we should be. And then he also gave me a proposal for a brand new printer, which is roughly the same amount as we're paying now for this dinosaur per month.
Where is Marco out of?
They have, their service station is out of Williamsport.
Is this something that we want to also put out for bid, like to a, Willets, who is in the county? I'm just asking, council, what they feel.
Who's doing it now, Sam?
What?
Who's doing it now?
Marco does everything.
Marco is.
Mhm.
Are we happy with their service? I know the times that I've been around that they've called and they were right here the next day or the same day.
They are, yes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say,
And the service calls are included in the price that we pay monthly.
Yes. Yes.
I would say if we know we're getting good service from them, we're not spending over 10 grand, I'm gonna say stick with, we know somebody that knows us and they're happy with us and we're happy with them.
Okay, all right, there's two options. If you guys don't have yours. Option one is a 60-month, which is a 5-year plan, for $87.37 a month. What that includes is a black and white prints, $1,000 per month. Anything over that costs 0.0268 cents per print.
And I think I read that we haven't come close to that, have we,
Correct.
Sam?
Not the past year.
Right.
But if you figure that out, lose your phone out, multiply that out times 60. 87.37 times 60.
$5,242.20.
Okay, option two, we can buy the printer for $1,800 and still have the delivery service for $36.80.
But in the 60-month plan, don't they supply all the inks and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Where if we bought it outright, we have to supply that,
No.
correct?
Maintenance plan, if you buy it, is service and supplies include all parts, labor, mileage, drums, toners, developer, except the paper and staples.
Okay.
So I think it's a no-brainer that we purchase the printer.
Well, that I agree with.
And go with the maintenance contract, the service and supply contract.
I agree with that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Will they purchase it when you want to upgrade your printer, your old one? So if you were to buy this one, would they give you money for your?
They would not give us money back. They said because it is so obsolete and the fact that a lot of it is broken, that they would just haul it away for free.
Okay, what about the new one though? Is there a free? I'm talking down the road in the future. Is there a buyback program?
I honestly, I didn't look into that. It's something we could.
I was just curious.
It doesn't say anything on this proposal about that. But even if we purchase it and we use it 5 years, we're saving a pile of money. You know what I'm saying? And if they have an agreement to, if we buy from them again, they buy this one back. I think we're better off that way.
I think we need to ask one question, Myron. Okay, never mind. The maintenance plan covers what I was thinking. I think it's a no-brainer.
Go with the option two.
Option two, I make a motion, we follow through with option two.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, so this has to be,
This means we don't have to full start the old printer no more.
this is, we don't need to support that.
He just gave me this information to bring to the meeting, and he will prepare everything ahead of time to sign.
All right, so you can get a hold of them and go with option two, we want to purchase. Another thing under new business, the order more zoning books. I think that's another thing that we're going to table until we're done codifying the new ones.
That really shouldn't be worded as a zoning book, though. It should be an ordinance book.
Well, hey, listen, we don't, I'm not following here. We don't need to do that after all, because they're going to copy that book and give it back to us.
Okay, but after we do have everything updated and we codify again, I think we have to get a copy for Maselli.
Yeah.
And a copy for our solicitor.
Yep, yeah.
And have one on the shelf here the way it used to be, that there is one here, that anyone in the public can come in here at a meeting and look at it.
I just had to loan mine personally to Carmen McElwain, and I don't like to do that because I don't want to be without my book.
Right.
So we do need about 3 extra ones.
Yes, but we're gonna table that for now until.
Yeah, don't order now because somebody's gonna copy that book they borrowed from us.
Okay. Any other new business? No other new business. I have the maintenance report here for the month of April. Inspected a shut off at 27 West Anthony Street for the new owners. Mowed Sulphur Springs, the water tank area. Mowed public building area. Repaired lawn in front of the Lutheran church there by the shut off where they did the work down there. Cleaned downspout at northeast corner of the Borough building, water runoff, because we had water in here on the floor again, and I told them, check the spouting because it was never cleaned since we cut the tree down. We should not have that problem anymore. The tree is gone. One thing was brought up by our workers. You remember the flagging classes we had? Didn't we have them here?
We had them at the fire company.
We need to get something scheduled again?
We did offer some a year and a half, 2 years ago to send them off, and they didn't want to because they had just had that one.
Ours all ran out.
Okay.
We need to have a flaggers class.
Okay.
So I don't know who did that for us.
I remember who did it at the fire company because I set that up.
Okay, so then we need to reach out and get some possible dates and bring it back and see what we can get set up.
I can do that.
Okay. Also, Leroy reported that up on the watershed, there are a lot of trees that have fallen out into the grass area where Ryan mows. They're going to be going up with chainsaws and get them cut off and get them back out of the way so he can mow everything. Okay?
You mentioned 27 Anthony Street here. What that was they called us and complained they had no water pressure. So Leroy come up, we checked the meter, we checked the house. He has good pressure on half the house and hardly any pressure on the other half. So that's pretty much on them.
Yeah.
Whether they put it together and pinched the line, or whether while it sat there opened up and the animal crawled in it, we don't know, but it's not us.
Okay. Okay. No other new business? Get into the mayor's report.
Okay, after the last council meeting on the 7th of April, I met with at 131 West South Street. I gave her 3 suggestions for controlling the water. Number 1, create a swale across the top of her lot. Number 2, to work with the state to try to get them to do something up at the road on 880, and good luck with that. And the other thing was she could possibly consider putting something along the edge like Shirey did. If nobody has anything else to offer about that, that's the way that's going to stand. And I talked to Sam about trucks still using South Street, and one day in particular there was a Walnut Creek truck, which is a company that you've all seen Sam uses, that brand. And the day that truck went through, it was a different driver. I don't know, Chris, have you noticed anything in particular more recently now?
Not really. The other day I was down and they had the road across the field shut off. They have pallets stacked at it. I don't know why that is, but.
Well, they emphasized the end there, Chris.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why they had it blocked off, because they emphasized the end.
Okay.
So that's probably why they came up.
But, except now and then there's a stray truck that goes down there, nothing we can do about that.
Okay. Okay, so.
It's getting better, I'll say that.
I talked to Sam about that. Destiny at the bank, says she's going to, said she was going to put in a work order to have the tree trimmed so that the flag won't get caught in the tree. I just looked at it today and I don't think it's been done yet.
No, it's not been done.
Okay. There's a legal seminar in Harrisburg. I don't suppose it's for the purpose of labor and employment, state law compliance, planning and zoning, and police management. But it's Harrisburg, Hershey, the Sheridan in Harrisburg, Hershey. I doubt whether anybody's going to want to go August the 2nd or 3rd, but if somebody would want to attend that, I don't suppose Ed, I doubt if you want to go to Hershey, do you think?
I don't know. We can ask.
class is that?
Legal updates.
Legal updates. Could Ed be notified of that in case he would, if he would attend? I spoke to a girl by the name of Ann Petrie. I think she's in Pittsburgh, regarding First National Bank. They are getting the permits in place, and they are starting to put in a new walk on or about June the 1st. And I think that's all I have, Mark. Thank you.
I really don't have anything else other than what I talked about. Water committee.
Yes. We talked about we've not got the one fellow to come look at the water meters for scrap. Dick Jameson said that he might be willing to give us 75 cents or $1 a piece for them. I got approached by a fella from Walnut Street School, Christian school over in Avis. And they've been going around and doing scrap metal pickups for donations for some school stuff they're doing and for class trips and stuff. And I was approached about whether we would be willing to let them come and get the water meters and pick them all up and use them for scrap. I said I couldn't do anything until we had a borough meeting. They said they would be glad to give us a letter of appreciation or help clean up the room down there or whatever, but they would truly love to get a hold of those because they feel with that many meters they could raise quite a bit of money off of them. I guess they got somewhere down in Porter Township, they got meters from people down there when they changed theirs. And they heard that we did it, so they were just asking. I said I'd just find out and let them know.
Feelings of the group.
How many do we have?
We're looking right around 130.
What do we want to do with them?
I mean, we're talking.
Fabulous to help somebody else in need.
We're talking about $130 in our pocket versus helping a couple of hundred kids with some trips.
Right. Because they're worth a lot more than $130.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you gotta put the time into them
To disassemble them and
Yeah.
all that. And they'll do all that,
Yeah.
not here. They'll take them and do them.
Yes.
If we're willing to give them to them, they'll even come pick them all up. So I told him I'd ask, so that's what I'm doing. It's Walnut Street Christian School. Probably a lot of people in here know of the school. They're a top-end Christian school around in the county here.
I think it would be a good idea to donate to it for a worthy cause. I'll make a motion to that effect.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Diane, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay,
I'll set that up for them to come get them. They'll
Okay.
come get them right away this week, probably.
okay, all right, yeah. Sounds good.
Then at least they're out of our way. Alan has not given me anything else on, the other meters. I don't know what kind of luck he's having. The next thing was the water leak reports. I reported that when we did that, water meter reading, we had 27 homes that had water leaks. 25 of, huh?
How many was that?
27. 25 people have gotten back to me and just ecstatic that they didn't know they had a water leak. Thanks for letting them know. So that was a good benefit of it. We've recovered, it was almost 1 million gallons in the last quarter. And then something that's not on here, I'll just bring you up to date. We have been looking for a water leak. We were losing about 10,000 gallons a day, but with the 5 and 6 days of rain, we couldn't figure out where it was coming from. We did a drive around to try and find out where it was. We just couldn't find it. And once it dried up the other day, we got a call that there was water coming up through the street down in front of Pete Schrack's old house. So we made the right calls. We got PA Rural Water to come up. He couldn't find it, but we were fairly close, he thought. So we got all the PennDOT permits, the certificates of liability in order on Monday morning. We dug it. We found that there was about a 14-inch split in the 4-inch line. So instead of just putting a Band-Aid on it, we cut that piece of pipe out, replaced it with plastic, fixed it. It's a done deal. And then got a call from my mom. She had a water leak. Well, it turns up she's had a leak going that Jim figures is a 3/4 inch line's been leaking about 2 weeks. It goes underneath her porch out to an outside spigot that had frozen over the winter. So Jim has that under control and he's fixing that for her. Our water usage is back to normal as of right now. So that's where we're at.
Okay. Streets. You know of anything, Danny? I don't know of anything. Sidewalk street light. We already went over the updates of the sidewalk project. Anything on street lights that you're aware of? Okay. Fire company committee report.
Really nothing going on.
Okay. Outdoor display.
We submitted a grant to the Sugar Valley Concerned Citizens for 5 banners and 5 brackets. And, the quote was for $1,500. They, approved the grant for $500.
And that was for how many banners?
5 banners and 5 brackets. In the meantime, somebody else offered to pay the whole $1,500 for the banners and the brackets.
Did they have a stipulation?
Yeah, there was a stipulation too, that they wanted to use the other Indian, not the one that council voted on. For
Which one that was proposed to us, that was the one Steve Weaver wanted?
Mm-hmm.
So that was,
yeah.
okay.
So we need to either deny or approve this.
You need to decide if we're going with the 500 from concerned citizens or the 1,500 from the other party that stepped forward to do the whole project. We go with the grant, the concerned citizens, it's gonna cost us money to do the project. We go the other way, it's all covered.
Does that mean you have to redo the vote on the Indian head and all that stuff
No,
that we did?
if we go with the other one, we go with the Indian that the council already approved. One like it's on the fire trucks.
Okay.
We just need, we just need to, a motion to either accept or reject concerned citizens' proposal is what we need first.
I think we have to accept it. That's $1,000 difference, so. Yeah, I'll make that motion.
What, you want to accept the concerned citizens?
No.
Okay, see,
No.
Bobby's making a motion to deny concerned citizen proposal for the $500.
To reject it.
Reject it,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. Now, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
You gotta
same
have a
sign.
second, gotta have a second.
Second?
I'll second.
I knew you would. Second, okay, it's been passed. Now, we need a motion to accept the contribution from the other group to pay the $1,500 for that project.
What, are we allowed to know what group is giving it?
Yeah.
Sure, the, Loganton Community Club.
Loganton Community Club.
That does not exist, but they still have money.
Okay,
And, yeah,
all right.
So we need a motion to accept the donation from the Loganton Community Club for the 5 banners and brackets.
I'll make that motion. Well, Judy did it.
Judy and Chris. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Okay, that's taken care of.
And they are ordered, correct?
not yet.
Because I heard at the meeting on February 1, after we voted, there was a comment, that's good because they're already ordered.
Oh,
We're not even gonna order it, they're gonna order it.
yeah.
We're just gonna tell them to go with the project and they're gonna take care of everything.
I don't know why that comment was made,
I
but
don't know,
yeah,
I don't know.
same from you.
Okay, the next
Was that
one.
for the Indian head decal on the trucks?
No.
That may have been.
That was for the little piece of paper it was held up and we were showing the Indian hits.
That was for the truck, wasn't it?
No, that's for the
For the
banner.
decals?
Well, we did that decal on the trucks, but we're using the same banner, one for the banner,
Okay,
but they're not ordered.
okay.
That was voted on, passed vote
To use
That's
that
correct.
Indian head, yes,
We voted on the color, and we voted on their head.
yes.
And then when that paper went down, there was a comment, that's good because they're already ordered. So I wanted to clarify.
They're not ordered. Okay, the next one for the community park. Here's the letter from the Sugar Valley Concerned Citizens. Congratulations, Concerned Citizen Board has approved a grant of $25,000 for phase 1 of the development of the multi-use Loganton Community Park for the master plan. This is if the council agrees to accept this $25,000 for phase one. This is basically for the engineer to draw it up, develop, that kind of thing.
When did you get that?
When did we get it, Ryan?
Who signed those?
April 6th?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Why weren't they to send it out to council to read to look at? Why is it just being brought up now?
For what?
If you had that agreement.
Because we had to wait till the night to approve it.
But couldn't you have passed it out so everybody could read it ahead of time instead of just,
There's
we gotta
nothing to
do it
read,
now?
I just read it to you.
Okay. They have stipulations on it, don't they?
The stipulation, yes, let me read the two stipulations. Two stipulations are that we have the signed agreement with the Nicholas property and the Scaff property. We have the one, we're working on the other. In other words, we will not receive, even if we approve this and accept it, we will not receive it till they have both signed agreements between the two.
All right, well, I heard there was a whole lot of conditions on it too.
No, it just tells you what you have to do, how you report, show them that you're spending the money on the actual project, that kind of thing.
Okay.
If you wanna look at it, you can look at it. That's basically what the front page tells you, what the use of the grant has to be for, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it says, the delivery of the grant funds will be contingent upon the receipt of a written and signed agreement between Eugene Nicholas and Heidi Nicholas and Marilyn Scaff with the Loganton Borough to donate the land to the borough for the community park.
I just think that could have been emailed out to all of us so that we could read it, that's all. I'm just asking that question if you had it that long.
I think.
What is the time frame on that?
What do you mean, what's the time frame?
Is there a deadline that they have to receive these contracts?
The signed paper? If we
So
sign
there's
it?
stipulation where they're saying they need to see
Well,
from the Nicholas property and the Scaff's property.
let's ask the president of the concerned citizen.
It's something we're gonna be taking up with our board. I'm not gonna make a decision on it. So, I mean, it'll be something more to talk to the board members.
The only thing was to have this signed contract back to you, right, by a certain date, and then you guys realized that like some of us didn't meet till like tonight, so, you know, they're waiting on us to sign or deny this, basically, as people had their meetings.
You know, let me ask you this so I'm clear. That's for the paying back of the architect?
To pay the architect.
To pay the architect.
Yes.
But we have to start paying this in June, right? This is our first payment.
Which, we talked to Brian, we told him what we were doing, what we're up against, and he said, I'm not holding you to that June payment.
Well, I'm looking at the contract.
Right,
so
the contract says
word of
June.
mouth to me is nothing.
But, he said if it's July, it's July.
Who was this?
Brian Allman, the architect.
Cause I was gonna ask about that, are we gonna start paying this? Cause we still have no guarantee that those properties are ours. And if that falls through, we're gonna end up, the taxpayers are gonna pay that $26,000 for nothing. And I still have concerns with that.
We are guaranteed Nicholas. Yeah, I mean.
We're not guaranteed Nicholas unless you get a DCNR grant. And there's no guarantee you're gonna get a grant, none.
Right.
And it has to be before the end of 24.
What?
To get that grant.
Right, the grants, we just went to a seminar today, and the grants will open in early January of 24. They will close in June of 24. They will hand out the money in September or October of 24. You won't get it till 25. So nothing is going to happen as far as development, as far as work up there till 2025.
Okay, so you won't have the money till 2025.
Right.
Okay, this gift agreement by Nicholas, let me find it here. It says, this agreement shall terminate in the event the borough has not delivered a signed DCNR grant agreement to Nicholas before December 31st, 24.
Right. We'll go by that.
You'll know. December 31st of 24.
2024. We will
Because
know.
I think we're banking on the fact that, I'm just saying, and I hope you're understanding, I'm just saying, it sounds like we're banking a lot on a possibility. Because there's no grant guarantees. How many years did it take me to get the one from our commissioners for the water? I got 3 years into that.
That's true. It's a grant.
But there's, if we don't give the DCNR grant,
that land goes back
to Nicholas.
Right.
And then who's gonna pay that $26,000? What?
The proposal that concerned citizens are getting.
They're not gonna pay it if you don't have the property.
Well, that's true.
Okay, so who's gonna pay it?
Well, we're gonna have to pay it.
So it's coming out of the taxpayer money?
Yeah, then I disagree with it, and I oppose signing it. Until we know for sure things are gonna happen, you can't spend money on a whisper and a prayer.
You have to spend money up front to get these things done to apply for the grant. Anyone sitting in this room cannot draw up the DCNR grant. We've been through several meetings, several conferences telling us you need a professional to draw up the DCNR grant for parks.
What about other grants?
What other grants?
There's all kinds of grants out there for parks and recreation.
Yeah.
They're all over the place.
Yeah, and they're the same thing.
Well,
you don't have any property to build a park on, so what do?
That's why I'm saying we gotta have the properties first in our name.
See, this one is
before we put people on the hook.
But we don't want to do that because this property that we're going to acquire after is our matching part. If DCNR was to give us $200,000, the property up here, because we got to come up with $200,000, the property's value would cover our half of the grant.
So you're saying that piece of property is worth $200,000?
I'm saying the two, and everything that's going on, the volunteer help that goes along with it, all your labor, all that comes in on our side as our share of the money.
I want the park as bad as anybody, but I don't want to put anybody at risk for paying $26,000 taxpayer money when we have no guarantees.
There's no other way to do it.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So all we need is a signed.
All we need is a SCAF agreement signed. And
I got nothing in that. I'm staying out.
We know you don't. Believe me. And we were told that will be signed. Your sister made it very clear to us that she wanted to give us the property back when this all started.
She did.
But she saw the email from Mr. Larry Koploff, I'm going to bring it up, where it said right in there, Mr. Chris Scaff tells me that your property's not big enough for a park.
No.
I'll show it to you in black and white.
You show it to me, because that was never said.
Well, it most certainly was in an email chain with Mr. Koploff.
Go ahead and throw the knives. I'm not going to get into it.
I'm just telling you, you're the ones bringing it up. I'm just telling you what.
I'm saying what I'm bringing up is if you don't have the properties, you can't spend taxpayer money on a wing and a prayer. That's all I'm asking.
This agreement is for the master plan.
Right.
It's not for the properties, it's for the master plan to do it.
A big part.
I don't know what she's doing. I'm staying out of it because as a council member, I should not even be involved. But as a council member, I'm going to ask about making taxpayers liable for something that we can't guarantee is going to happen. That's all I'm saying. That's it.
I could not get my, paper that says that, he was in correspondence with Chris, and.
Mom asked me to get a hold of Larry, to get a hold of her about the property, and that's what I did.
But
That was it, and that's when I abstained from anything else.
But it says in there, with Larry Koploff, that he was in correspondence with you, and you were
No,
corresponding.
he was in correspondence with me to get Mom paperwork. That was it.
Well, no. Anyway, so
Don't even
Or
argue.
whatever,
We
that
can
doesn't have
sit here and
anything to
argue
do
all night.
with, that doesn't have anything to do
Yes, it does.
with having the property and spending taxpayer money.
It
ahead of
most certainly
time.
does, because that property would already had the agreement signed before the Nicholas property was signed.
It would have been signed, Mom didn't hear from Koploff for 6 months or more, if you remember.
She showed us the emails she got from Mr. Koploff.
Okay, well, I'm sure that Janine's gonna see this video and she'll have something to say.
Yes.
I'm quite sure of it.
I did not get that paper. Unless Mr. Koploff's lying.
You guys just proceed with what you gotta do. That's all. I'm allowed to oppose it, and I can do that. That's my right as a councilman.
Yes, it is. So, back to the agreement. This, proposal, the award letter for $25,000. Do I have a motion to accept the donation from the concerned citizens with the two stipulations? Like I said, the one is taken care of, the other one should be in the very near future.
I don't think we have any choice.
You want to make the motion?
I can't see what we wouldn't accept it.
Yeah. Bob made a motion. Got a second? Judy seconded. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign.
Opposed.
Please show Chris's vote. Yeah. Passed. We will sign this. We have one stipulation to get done, and then we will be awarded the money to move forward with phase one, which is the development of the park. Okay.
So if we don't get that grant, are the taxpayers gonna get paid that $26,000 back?
Well, we should know in the very near future, hopefully, if we get this other contract signed. And you guys sat in the meeting with the staffs, what was your feeling?
Oh, I'm sure will.
Yeah.
Not money.
Yes.
I have insurance and stuff discussed on multiple occasions, we've been discussing this park for, I feel like, ever.
Yeah.
What is the plan for the park? Is it gonna be a playground? Is it gonna be just a picnic area? Like, I'm not even sure what you guys are planning on putting up there and where parking is going to be.
Once this engineer starts in June is when he'll start developing it. In his mind and on paper, there's two individuals from the valley that will be working with him, Glenn Vernon and Claudia Albertson, who live down at the Covered Bridge in Logan Mills. They will hold several public meetings to get the public's input of what the public wants in the park. Okay? There will definitely be a playground. There'll be parking, there'll be restrooms, things like that. I mean, that's all up to him. This guy does this for a living. He's a professional architect.
That's fine, I've seen it discussed a lot, and I wasn't sure what the actual plan was, and I know there's not a lot of parking along 880, and you can't park on Water Street anymore, so where were they gonna park? I'll be building a parking lot into it then.
Yes, absolutely. Two different parking lots. And like I said, the community's going to have a lot of involvement, you know. on
So I was saying,
ideas.
we had a playground for years since the one at the old elementary school got pulled out.
Yes, yes. So. Any other questions? Okay, website updates. Anything to report on? Nothing, okay. Any discussion we need to have? Motion to adjourn,
Make it.
second.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favor say aye, opposed same sign. Okay, we're adjourned.
Gosh. It's good to stand up.
You don't take anything out.
I'm sorry?
You good?
I'm good to go, but thank you very much. It's good to see you.
Yep, same here.
You too.
It's good to see you. How are you?
Good to see you too. How are you?
Trying to find them.